the hidden spiritual reason you're constantly thinking about someone. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create Buddha. Have you ever wondered why a certain person keeps appearing in your thoughts, no matter how much you try to move on? Perhaps it isn't just coincidence. Perhaps it's the universe, or your subconscious mind, trying to tell you something profound about your spiritual path. In today's video, the hidden spiritual reason. You're constantly thinking about someone. Carl Jung explains, we'll explore how these recurring thoughts may reveal energetic bonds, unresolved emotions, or the mirror of your own soul seeking healing and growth. As you listen, think about the people who often cross your mind. What might their presence be reflecting within you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's uncover these hidden truths together. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where every insight brings you closer to your true self. 1. Thoughts as energetic signals. Your thoughts are not random flickers of the mind. They are waves of energy vibrating through the field of consciousness, forming invisible connections that link you to people, places, and emotions across time and space. When you find yourself constantly thinking about someone, it's not mere coincidence, but an energetic frequency between two souls communicating beyond the limits of physical reality. In spirituality, every thought is a message, a signal carrying emotional information. Carl Jung, a master of analytical psychology, believed that repetitive thoughts are expressions of deeper psychological and spiritual truths surfacing from the unconscious. They are not meant to torment you, but to awaken you. The mind doesn't simply replay the past. It reflects what is unresolved within you, what still seeks harmony, healing, or closure. When someone occupies your thoughts again and again, your consciousness is not just remembering them, it's mirroring your inner world. Jung taught that the unconscious speaks through symbols and relationships. The person who lingers in your mind might not represent themselves, but a hidden aspect of your soul calling for recognition. They may embody an archetype, the lover you long for, the shadow you resist, or the wounded child you've forgotten. Through spirituality, this is understood as a sacred mirror, an energetic reflection revealing what your spirit yearns to integrate. Spiritual awakening often begins when you realize that your deepest emotional bonds are not accidents. They are teachers sent by the universe to lead you toward wholeness. Every thought is energy in motion, and when that energy is directed toward someone, it becomes a vibrational signal that transcends physical distance. If your frequencies match or share emotional resonance, this energetic bridge keeps both souls aligned in thought, as if their subconscious minds are whispering across invisible dimensions. This is not fantasy. It's how energy works in the higher reality of spirituality. Thoughts are alive, and emotions are magnetic. They shape your field, attract similar vibrations, and connect you to those who are meant to mirror a part of your evolution. Sometimes, it's a connection of unfinished lessons. Other times, it's a divine reminder that your soul is expanding through love, pain, and remembrance. When you stop fighting the thought and start listening to it, something extraordinary happens. Clarity replaces confusion, and your emotional energy shifts from attachment to understanding. Constantly thinking about someone then becomes less of an obsession and more of a divine signal guiding you home to yourself. It's the universe's way of saying that consciousness is communication, and your mind, heart, and spirit are learning to speak the same language. The key is to listen not to the noise of longing, but to the wisdom behind it. Every energetic pull is a lesson in alignment, reminding you that spirituality is not about chasing answers outside yourself. It's about recognizing that everything you feel is a reflection of what your soul already knows. Do you feel this truth resonating within you? If you do, let your energy speak. Comment below. My thoughts are energy, and I am aligned with the one meant for me. 2. Projection and the mirror of the psyche. The person you can't stop thinking about often represents a reflection of your own inner world, a part of your psyche reaching out for acknowledgement and integration. Carl Jung believed that what we see in others is not random. It is our unconscious mind projecting an unhealed or unrealized aspect of ourselves. In the journey of spirituality and spiritual growth, these projections are not punishments or coincidences. They are mirrors sent by life itself, urging you to see what you've hidden from your awareness. When someone occupies your thoughts endlessly, it's usually because they embody an emotion, a wound, or a forgotten truth within you that's asking to be brought to light. You may think it's about them, but it's actually your soul calling you inward, saying, "Look here. There's something you still need to understand about yourself." Sometimes the person you think about constantly awakens parts of your heart. You've silenced your vulnerability, your desire, your creativity, or your pain. Other times, they mirror your shadow, showing you where you still carry fear, attachment, or illusion. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This constant mental return to someone is your psyche's way of trying to integrate what has been denied. It's not always about love or longing. It can be about reclaiming lost power or facing the emotional truths you once buried. Perhaps they represent freedom you crave, confidence you envy, or compassion you suppress. Through the lens of spirituality, everyone who lingers in your thoughts is a teacher dressed as a mirror. They reveal not what you lack, but what you've yet to recognize within yourself. When you can see this clearly, obsession turns into observation, and longing turns into learning. You begin to understand that no one outside of you holds the key to your peace. That power has always been yours. Every connection, every recurring thought is a step toward greater wholeness, helping you remember that the purpose of all relationships is not possession, but awakening. So when you can't stop thinking about someone, take a deep breath and turn inward. Ask your heart, what am I really feeling? What is this person showing me about myself? You'll find that behind every thought lies an emotion, and behind every emotion lies wisdom. The more you acknowledge these inner truths, the more you free yourself from emotional dependency. This is what spiritual growth looks like, not escaping your feelings, but transforming them into understanding. The mind works through symbols, and the person you keep returning to is one of those symbols, representing a piece of your inner universe waiting to come home. Once you embrace that, you no longer chase after closure from others. You find closure within. Because every thought, every face, and every connection you can't forget is ultimately a reflection of your own divine self, inviting you to awaken, integrate, and become whole again. If this insight resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on what your mind might be mirroring back to you. Comment below. I am ready to see my reflection clearly, to affirm your commitment to this journey of self-awareness and transformation. 3. Archetypal connection, animus and anima. In Jungian psychology, when you can't stop thinking about someone, Carl Jung would say it's not necessarily about that person, but about the reflection of your own unconscious. This fixation can symbolize what Jung called the archetypal connection between your inner masculine, animus, and inner feminine, anima. It means the person appearing in your mind mirrors the qualities within you that are asking for acknowledgement, balance, or healing. According to Jung's spiritual wisdom, these inner archetypes shape how you love, perceive, and relate to others. The animus embodies logic, will, and action, while the anima represents emotion, intuition, and receptivity. When one of these energies is suppressed, your unconscious seeks balance by projecting it outward, often onto someone who awakens it within you. So when a person keeps returning to your thoughts, it might not be an obsession, but a symbolic mirror of the aspects of yourself that are long to be seen. Every encounter becomes a reflection. If you are a woman who keeps thinking about a man, it may reveal your inner masculine's desire to express confidence, purpose, and clarity. If you are a man who can't stop thinking about a woman, she may represent your inner feminine's call to reconnect with empathy, intuition, and creativity. Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That truth unfolds through these internal unions when the animus and anima stop fighting and start dancing in harmony. These people who enter your awareness are not coincidences. They are symbols sent by your psyche to awaken you. Instead of resisting those thoughts, observe them. What does this person awaken within you? Strength, vulnerability, longing, or courage? Perhaps they embody the qualities you secretly crave or the ones you've hidden to survive. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Fate, in this case, wears the face of the one you can't forget. But the purpose is not to cling to them. It's to retrieve the energy you projected onto them and bring it back to yourself. When you finally integrate these opposing energies, something magical happens. The constant mental noise quiets. The emotional storm settles. The person's image fades, but the wisdom they carried remains. You begin to realize that they were never the destination, but the catalyst for your spiritual awakening. Through them, you remembered what was missing within. That is the hidden beauty of what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole. Every connection, every thought, every longing is a message from your soul inviting you to reconcile the divine masculine and feminine within. And once you do, you stop seeking completion in others because you finally find it within yourself. 4. Synchronicity and symbolic reality. When you find yourself thinking about someone and, almost like a whisper from the universe, you hear their name, see their picture, or encounter a song that stirs memories of them, it's easy to call it coincidence, but in spirituality and spiritual awakening, nothing is ever random. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, called this phenomenon synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence that reveals a hidden harmony between your inner psyche and the outer world. It's as though your thoughts are not confined to your mind, but are part of an invisible network connecting you to the flow of universal consciousness. Every sign, every name, every song carries symbolic meaning, urging you to look beyond surface reality and into the deeper language of the soul. These moments are not meant to confuse you. They are invitations to awaken to the profound truth that life is communicating with you through patterns and resonance. In a state of spiritual awakening, the outer world becomes a reflection of your inner emotional landscape. The constant appearance of reminders about a person, whether through dreams, random encounters, or sudden intuitions, is often your subconscious trying to bring something important to light. Jung believed that the unconscious mind speaks through symbols because ordinary words cannot hold the depth of what the soul wants to express. When you think about someone repeatedly and the universe echoes their presence back to you, it's not necessarily about them. It's about what they symbolize within you. Maybe they represent unresolved feelings, unhealed wounds, or aspects of yourself you have yet to fully accept. The universe uses synchronicity as a mirror, revealing the parts of your psyche that are ready for healing, transformation, or release. Each coincidence is like a sacred whisper, reminding you that everything in existence is energetically connected. The universe communicates gently through these synchronicities, using them as a bridge between your conscious awareness and your deeper truth. When such signs appear, the question isn't why them, but what is this showing me about myself? Sometimes, the person you can't stop thinking about carries an energetic message. Perhaps you share a spiritual contract, a karmic lesson, or a mirror of love and fear that your soul needs to integrate. In this way, spiritual awakening teaches you that every external event carries an inner reflection. As Jung wisely said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The repetition of thoughts and signs is the universe's way of helping you make the unconscious conscious, guiding you toward wholeness and awareness. You are not being haunted by coincidence. You are being guided by divine intelligence. The connection you feel to someone is not always physical or emotional. It can be energetic, soul-based, or symbolic, existing to trigger your evolution. The moment you recognize that synchronicity is communication rather than coincidence, you begin to live from a higher state of awareness. Every name you hear, every lyric that touches you, every seemingly random encounter becomes a thread in the tapestry of meaning woven by the cosmos itself. Through spirituality, you start to see that you are not a passive observer of life, but a conscious participant in an ongoing dialogue between your soul and the universe. And as your awareness deepens, you come to understand that nothing, no thought, no sign, no connection is ever wasted. Everything you notice is part of your journey towards spiritual awakening, gently guiding you back to the truth that everything and everyone is connected through the infinite field of consciousness. Leave a like and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next awakening insight. Stay aligned with the flow of synchronicity and divine timing. Comment below. I trust the universe to guide me through every sign and symbol. 5. Emotional clues and inner messages. Every emotion you feel towards someone, whether it's longing, admiration, fear, or anger, isn't just a fleeting sensation. It's a coded message from the depths of your unconscious mind, a whisper from your inner world calling for your awareness. In the journey of spirituality and spiritual growth, these emotions act as sacred messengers that reveal where your soul is trying to evolve. When you feel a deep pull towards someone, it's rarely about them. Instead, it's a reflection of the parts of yourself that long to be acknowledged and integrated. Carl Jung beautifully said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This truth reminds you that your emotions are mirror symbols that illuminate hidden corners of your psyche and guide you toward wholeness. When you feel admiration, it may be your higher self showing you qualities you possess but have yet to embody. When you feel longing, it may point to an unmet need within your emotional or spiritual life. Fear can reveal resistance to growth, while anger might signal boundaries that have been ignored or crossed. Instead of judging these feelings, you can learn to decode them with compassion. They are not signs of weakness, but invitations for transformation. Each emotion carries a spiritual lesson about your energy, your needs, and your evolution. Observing them without labeling right or wrong allows you to see their divine purpose, helping you reclaim pieces of your soul that have been lost through neglect, pain, or denial. In Jungian psychology, this process is part of individuation, the sacred path toward becoming your true, integrated self. Through this lens, constantly thinking about someone is not a coincidence. It's a reflection of an energetic connection designed to awaken your awareness. The person who occupies your thoughts may represent a forgotten aspect of your own consciousness. They mirror the emotional energy that needs to be acknowledged, healed, or reclaimed. When you shift your attention from the external person to the internal meaning, you move from projection to self-realization. The emotions that once confused you now become your greatest teachers, guiding you toward spiritual clarity and freedom. As you learn to witness your emotions without judgment, you begin to hear their symbolic language. Your heart becomes the interpreter of your unconscious mind. That person who lingers in your thoughts might not be there to fulfill a romantic or social purpose. They could be a divine catalyst, awakening something within you that has been dormant. Perhaps they appear to help you understand the patterns of attachment, forgiveness, or self-love that you must master. Spiritual growth begins when you no longer chase the external source of emotion, but turn inward to uncover its meaning. Each feeling you experience holds a vibration, and when you face it consciously, you transmute that energy into wisdom. The act of listening to your emotions becomes a form of prayer, a conversation between your conscious mind and your higher self. The more you listen, the more fluent you become in your inner language. And as this understanding deepens, your emotional landscape transforms from chaos into clarity, from confusion into peace. In that stillness, you realize that your emotions were never obstacles. They were stepping stones guiding you home to your truest self. Through this awareness, your spirituality deepens and your soul expands, allowing you to live with greater balance, authenticity, and grace. Comment below, "I listen to my emotions with wisdom," and let it remind you that every feeling carries a sacred message from your inner self. When you honor your emotions instead of resisting them, you unlock the hidden guidance of your soul. Stay present, stay aware, and let your emotional truth lead you toward awakening. 6. Shadow work and integration. When someone triggers discomfort, confusion, or an almost magnetic pull in you, They're not just passing through your mind by accident. They are mirroring something hidden within you. In the language of Carl Jung and his profound spiritual wisdom, this is your shadow speaking. The shadow represents the rejected, forgotten, or suppressed parts of your psyche, the qualities you've denied yourself because they didn't fit your idea of who you thought you should be. When a person evokes an intense emotional response, it isn't simply about them. It's your soul's attempt to bring these buried aspects back into your awareness so you can finally heal and become whole. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And that single truth contains the key to self-liberation. When you feel jealousy, anger, or obsession towards someone, your unconscious is whispering that this emotion holds a clue. Maybe the confidence you admire in them is the same confidence you've been too afraid to own. Maybe their arrogance touches the wound of your own unacknowledged pride. The universe, through its mysterious design, uses relationships as mirrors, each encounter reflecting parts of you that seek reconciliation. In spiritual awakening, no meeting is random. Every emotional trigger is an opportunity for integration. The people who challenge you the most are often your greatest teachers, showing you the exact fragments of your soul that are still waiting for your love. Shadow work is the art of turning inward when you most want to look outward. Instead of blaming, avoiding, or romanticizing the person who consumes your thoughts, you pause and ask, what part of me are they revealing? This act of self-inquiry transforms emotional pain into spiritual wisdom. As you begin to see these patterns clearly, you reclaim your lost energy. The emotions that once ruled you lose their grip, and you begin to move with awareness instead of reaction. Jung called this sacred process individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your true self by reconciling the conscious and unconscious. It's not about eliminating darkness, but about learning to walk beside it with compassion and understanding. Through the integration of the shadow, the mind's war against itself begins to dissolve. The qualities you once projected onto others, your anger, vulnerability, or passion, return home as sources of power. You realize that the person who once haunted your thoughts was never your enemy or your destiny, but your reflection, inviting you to awaken. The wound is the place where the light enters you, Rumi wrote, and within that light lies the freedom to love without fear and to see without illusion. When you embrace what you once denied, you discover that the shadow was never a curse. It was the doorway to your own divine wholeness. 7. Spiritual evolution and soul contracts. From a spiritual perspective, constantly thinking about someone is not simply an accident of the mind. It's often a reflection of a temporary soul contract designed for your spiritual evolution. In the journey of spirituality and spiritual awakening, certain souls enter your life not to stay forever, but to awaken something within you. These connections, though invisible, carry an energetic agreement between two souls to help each other grow, heal, and awaken to higher consciousness. When a particular person keeps reappearing in your thoughts, it isn't always about them. It's about what they represent within your inner world. They act as a mirror, reflecting your unhealed wounds, suppressed emotions, or forgotten strengths. Your soul uses them as a catalyst, a spiritual teacher disguised in human form, to help you recognize what still seeks balance and transformation inside you. Carl Jung's teachings illuminate this phenomenon with striking clarity. He believed that what we project onto others often represents what remains unacknowledged within ourselves. In this sense, the person who dominates your thoughts is not there to disturb your peace, but to reveal your own hidden energy patterns. The more you resist the lesson, the stronger the pull becomes, as if your consciousness keeps replaying the same emotional frequency until you finally understand the message. This is the essence of soul contracts, mutual awakening through recognition. The intensity you feel is the soul's way of saying, it's time to evolve. As your awareness deepens, you begin to understand that these connections are not punishments or coincidences. They are divine arrangements designed to realign you with your higher purpose. Through emotional turbulence, spiritual insight is born. The attachment, the longing, the endless cycle of thoughts, all of it pushes you toward surrender, forcing you to reclaim your own energy. Once the emotional lesson is integrated, the connection starts to lose its magnetic grip. You no longer feel the same mental pull because your soul has absorbed the wisdom it came to receive. At this stage, peace naturally replaces intensity. You look back and realize that the person who once consumed your thoughts was a messenger of light hidden within the shadow of desire. They entered your path to awaken the dormant parts of your soul, to show you where love needed to flow freely, without fear or expectation. When you release the energy tied to them, you step into spiritual freedom. The mind quiets because the contract is complete. Both souls have received what they came for. In truth, this process reveals that spiritual awakening is not about forgetting someone, but about remembering yourself through them. Each connection, no matter how fleeting, serves your evolution, guiding you closer to inner harmony and divine consciousness. If you find this content touching your heart, please consider becoming a member to receive more in-depth lessons and direct support from me. 8. Awakening and individuation. When you find yourself constantly thinking about someone, it's not just about them. It's a reflection of your own spiritual awakening unfolding from within. Carl Jung taught that such persistent thoughts are never coincidences but messages from the unconscious, guiding you toward deeper spiritual growth and inner harmony. These thoughts rise to the surface because a part of you is asking to be seen, understood, and healed. You may feel as if your mind is looping back to this person without reason, but what's truly happening is that your soul is trying to lead you toward integration. The energy behind these thoughts is symbolic. It reveals something hidden within your psyche that's ready to awaken. Each person who enters your awareness acts as a mirror of your inner world. They might stir emotions you've long buried or awaken dreams you once silenced. Jung described this journey as individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole by uniting your conscious and unconscious selves. The person who occupies your thoughts is not there by accident. They are a messenger from your deeper self. Their image represents the parts of you that you've projected outward, your fears, desires, strengths, or unhealed wounds. As you evolve, life uses these mirrors to help you see what you're ready to face. Every thought becomes a clue. Every emotional reaction, a guide leading you toward greater self-awareness. When the same person repeatedly appears in your mind, It's your spirit inviting you to examine the energy beneath that connection. Maybe it's teaching you about attachment, boundaries, or unconditional love. Maybe it's helping you release old identities that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, Jung said. And these recurring thoughts are the unconscious knocking on your door. Instead of fighting them, listen. Ask what they're trying to reveal about your inner landscape. Sometimes the person symbolizes closure. Other times, they awaken compassion or forgiveness. But always, they lead you closer to self-realization. In this sense, constant thoughts about someone are not signs of obsession. They are signs of transformation. You are being guided to transcend emotional dependency and reclaim your inner power. When you shift your focus from, "Why can't I stop thinking about them?" to, "What is this teaching me about myself?" you step into the realm of spiritual maturity. You begin to see that your deepest relationships are not built in the physical realm, but in the energetic and symbolic space of the soul. Through awareness, you break free from illusion and enter a state of peace that no one else can give or take away. This is the essence of spirituality, to recognize that every experience, every connection, every thought exists to bring you closer to wholeness. The more you honor the lessons behind these inner reflections, the more your energy aligns with love, acceptance, and truth. Over time, the obsessive pull softens into clarity, the longing transforms into gratitude, and what once felt like confusion becomes a bridge to awakening. What seemed to be about another person was, all along, your own soul calling you home to yourself. And so, if you've ever found yourself thinking about someone again and again, perhaps it's not just coincidence, but a message from the deeper layers of your soul. As Carl Jung reminds us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Every thought, every pull may be your inner world inviting you to awaken, to heal, and to understand the unseen connection that mirrors your own spiritual evolution. If this message resonates with you, remember to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming explorations into the mysteries of the soul and the hidden language of the psyche. From scapegoat to seer, how the broken child becomes the empath. Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. Khalil Gibran's words remind us that our pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom. In this video, From Scapegoat to Seer, How the Broken Child Becomes the Empath, Carl Jung, we will explore how the wounds of the sensitive child become the gateways to profound empathy and vision. The journey from being the family scapegoat to becoming the spiritual seer is one of transformation, forgiveness, and awakening. As you listen, ask yourself, have your past wounds become your greatest teachers? Share your reflections in the comments. Your story might be the light someone else needs to heal. 1. Synchronicity and divine timing. You didn't find this message by accident. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, the mysterious alignment of inner and outer worlds, where coincidence reveals divine design. In spirituality, this is the moment when your soul and the universe meet halfway, signaling that you are ready for a new level of awakening. Every experience, Every thought, every person crossing your path right now is not random. It's a mirror reflecting your readiness to transform. When Jung spoke about the psyche reaching the threshold of readiness, he meant that your unconscious has decided it's time for you to see what was once hidden in the dark corners of your being. Synchronicity isn't about luck, it's about meaning. When you start noticing signs that seem perfectly timed, a song lyric echoing your deepest emotion, a stranger's words answering an unspoken question, or a sudden opportunity appearing just when you need it, you are witnessing your consciousness and the universe dancing in harmony. This is the sacred dialogue between the seen and unseen realms. Spiritual awakening begins when you stop dismissing these patterns as coincidence and start recognizing them as guidance. The more you align with your inner truth, the more life aligns around you, unfolding with precision and grace. In Jungian psychology, synchronicity serves as a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, reminding you that you are part of something vast and intelligent. Divine timing orchestrates this process perfectly. It doesn't rush. It waits for your spirit to be ready to hold the lessons you once resisted. It teaches you to trust the unseen rhythm that governs your growth. You learn to release control, to stop chasing what isn't meant for you, and to let life reveal its hidden order. When your ego loosens its grip, the universe steps in to move what you cannot. Divine timing is not about waiting, it's about aligning. It's the silent current that carries you to the exact experiences you need for your evolution. Every delay, every disappointment, every door that didn't open was not rejection, but redirection. The more you awaken spiritually, the clearer this becomes. You realize the universe was never punishing you. It was preparing you. Spirituality teaches that surrender is not weakness. It's the highest form of trust. When you stop asking why and start listening to what this is teaching me, you align with the wisdom of divine order. When patterns repeat in your life, they do so because the lesson remains unlearned. Synchronicity is the universe's way of magnifying that message until you finally pay attention. Your reality becomes a mirror of your inner world. The more aware you become, the more transparent the mirror grows. This is how the wounded child transforms into an empath, the one who no longer runs from pain, but understands it as the key to awareness. Through this awakening, you realize that life has never been random. Every moment, even the broken ones, were designed to awaken you into remembering who you truly are. Do you believe that everything happens for a reason, and that divine timing is never wrong? If you do, declare it boldly in the comments. I trust the synchronicity of my life. 2. Critical mass of suffering. Your pain is not punishment. It is precision medicine crafted by your unconscious mind to awaken you to a deeper level of truth. When suffering reaches its critical mass, it no longer stays hidden in the background of your life. It breaks through your ego's walls, dissolving the defenses that once kept you from seeing yourself clearly. Carl Jung called this the transformational threshold, the sacred moment when pain becomes unbearable enough to crack open the shell of illusion and expose the truth beneath. At that moment, something within you shifts. The question changes from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this trying to teach me?" It's no longer just pain. It becomes the gateway to consciousness, the beginning of spiritual growth, and the invitation to step into a new level of self-awareness. The unconscious does not punish, it educates. Every heartbreak, betrayal, or loss carries symbolic meaning. These are not coincidences, but carefully orchestrated experiences designed to awaken the sleeping parts of your soul. Suffering is the soul's language. It speaks through tension, confusion, and discomfort until you finally listen. When the outer world falls apart, it's often because the inner world is demanding rebirth. Your pain is intelligent. It dismantles everything that is false so that something true can finally emerge. Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." This is the essence of spirituality, not avoiding suffering, but transmuting it into wisdom, compassion, and self-realization. Think of the caterpillar dissolving inside its cocoon. To the outside eye, it looks like death. But within that darkness, every cell is reorganizing to give birth to the butterfly. In the same way, when life confines you, isolates you, and forces you into your own shadows, it is not ending you. It is remaking you. The chaos you fear is the alchemy of your soul. Pain is not the opposite of growth. It is the process of growth. The deeper you sink into your suffering with awareness, the more you begin to see its sacred geometry, the perfect order behind the apparent disorder. What feels like collapse is really calibration, an inner realignment with your higher self. If you are in that place, now exhausted, broken, uncertain, understand that you are standing at the threshold of awakening. Life is not tearing you apart. It's clearing away everything that can no longer sustain your light. The ego resists because it confuses safety with familiarity, but the soul knows that liberation requires the death of old identities. The pain you feel is your spiritual rebirth in motion. It strips away everything false until only truth remains. It is not cruelty, it is mercy. Your suffering is the sacred fire that purifies your perception, melting away illusions of control and separation. When your suffering reaches critical mass, something miraculous happens. Surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of resistance. You stop fighting the lesson and begin to flow with it. In that surrender, you meet yourself raw, unmasked, and real. This is where spirituality ceases to be an abstract idea and becomes a lived experience. You learn that the wound was never meant to destroy you, but to open you. Pain is the hand of the divine reshaping your life from the inside out. It is both the destroyer and the deliverer, the dark teacher leading you home to your essence. And when that inner transformation completes its course, you rise not as the same person who suffered, but as the one who finally understood why the suffering was necessary all along. If this message speaks to your soul, comment below. I am transmuting my pain into power. Let this be your declaration that your suffering has reached its sacred turning point. 3. The sacred void. You are in what Carl Jung would call the sacred void, the mysterious space between the death of who you once were and the birth of who you are becoming. It feels empty, confusing, and endless, as if everything that once gave you meaning has vanished. Yet this emptiness is not your enemy. It's your initiation. This void is sacred because it dissolves illusions, breaks false identities, and strips you of everything that cannot survive the light of your awakening. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The universe has paused your momentum, not to abandon you, but to allow the deeper parts of your soul to emerge. As Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. And that is exactly what this stage is. Your consciousness expanding through the painful shedding of everything unreal. Inside the void, all the roles you once played begin to disintegrate. The mask you wore to be accepted no longer fits. The stories you told yourself to feel safe begin to crumble. The people who once defined you may fade away, leaving you face to face with your own essence. It's terrifying because your ego believes it's dying, but your spirit knows it's being reborn. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that every death is just a doorway into a new life. What you are losing is not truth. It is attachment. What feels like chaos is actually divine order rearranging itself for your higher good. This is the sacred pause before the next chapter, where your soul whispers, "Be still, and let me rewrite you." In this space, you are meant to feel uncertain. You are meant to question everything, your beliefs, your direction, your identity, because questioning is how the false dissolves. The mind will beg for clarity, but clarity cannot be forced. It must arise naturally once the old has fully burned away. You are the phoenix waiting in its own ashes, and to rush this process would be to deny the very transformation you prayed for. The void teaches patience, humility, and surrender. It is not a space to escape, but to inhabit with awareness. Sit with your confusion and let it soften into wisdom. Feel your loneliness, and you will find divine companionship within it. Every tear, every silence, every sleepless night in this darkness is purifying you for a deeper awakening. The sacred void is the moment between inhaling and exhaling, the stillness between endings and beginnings. It's the universe recalibrating your vibration so that your new reality can match your highest frequency. This is where your old self dies quietly and your true self begins to breathe. It cannot be rushed because it is governed by divine timing, not human desire. You are learning to stop clinging to control, to stop fighting the unknown, and to trust that something greater is already unfolding within you. As Rumi once said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Your emptiness is not lacking. It's a fertile space waiting to be filled with new light, new purpose, new truth. What you feel as nothingness is actually the soil of transformation, and in time, you'll see that the sacred void was not your fall. It was your rising. 4. Your wound is your medicine. Your wound is not a flaw to fix, but a sacred doorway through which your soul learns to see itself. The pain that breaks you is not random. It is your initiation into consciousness. As Carl Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. The suffering you feel right now is tailor-made for your awakening, crafted by life itself to bring to the surface everything you have avoided, denied, or buried. Each wound, whether emotional, spiritual, or psychological, is designed with divine precision to expose the walls you built to survive. But when those walls begin to crack, what you once called suffering is simply the light trying to enter. The wound becomes your medicine, not because it feels good, but because it reveals what is real. It dismantles illusions, forcing you to see the truth that the self you thought was whole was only a mask. Carl Jung believed that every neurosis carries within it the seed of transformation. What you resist most, your fear, shame, grief, is not a mistake, but a message. It is the psyche's way of saying, "Wake up." When you stop running from your pain and begin to meet it with awareness, you start the sacred process of individuation, the integration of all that you are, both light and shadow. The wound shows you where you are still divided, where love has not yet reached, where forgiveness still trembles in silence. The same trauma that once silenced you becomes the teacher that helps you speak your truth. The betrayal that made you doubt humanity becomes the lesson that teaches you discernment and boundaries. The loneliness that once hollowed you out becomes the temple where your soul learns to listen. This is not punishment. This is precision. In spirituality, pain is the language of transformation. It dismantles the false identity that the world gave you so that you can remember who you were before conditioning began. The broken child within you, the scapegoat who carried the unspoken burdens of the family, was not cursed. He was chosen to feel deeply enough to awaken. What you once called weakness is your gift of empathy, your ability to sense the invisible, to understand others beyond words. Through the crucible of suffering, the scapegoat becomes the seer, the one who perceives truth beyond illusion. Each wound refines perception. Each heartbreak sharpens vision, until you no longer see through the eyes of pain, but through the eyes of wisdom. Jung reminded us, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your wound is that darkness asking to be made conscious. To face it is to meet your own shadow, to reclaim the lost fragments of your soul, to finally become whole. Spiritual awakening is not the escape from suffering, but the deep acceptance of it as your greatest teacher. The moment you realize this, your pain no longer defines you. It liberates you. Your suffering becomes your alchemy. Your tears become the water of rebirth. And the wound you once hid becomes the mark of your initiation into a deeper humanity and a higher consciousness. In truth, your wound has always been your medicine. It was never meant to destroy you, only to awaken you. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comments below. Let's continue uncovering the truth behind secret number 4. How your wound becomes your greatest medicine. 5. From madness to sanity. You're not losing your mind. You're reclaiming it, piece by piece, as your soul begins to awaken from the trance of conformity. What feels like chaos is not madness, but the first whisper of truth returning to you. When the world around you runs on autopilot, asleep within the illusion of normality, your inner disruption becomes a sacred sign that you are beginning to see. You start to notice how society rewards numbness, how it praises masks over authenticity, and suddenly, the life that once felt stable begins to tremble. This trembling is not your downfall. It is your awakening. You are feeling the friction between who you were told to be and who you truly are. What you once called madness is, in truth, the breaking of false walls that confined your spirit. To see through illusions is painful because every illusion you outgrow takes a piece of your old identity with it. You begin to reject the shallow comforts of conformity, and in doing so, you discover that what the world calls sanity is often the real sickness. In a society addicted to distraction, feeling deeply is an act of rebellion. Spirituality teaches that awakening is not a soft ascent into light, but a burning away of everything untrue. You are not breaking down. You are being refined. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And those words echo in the heart of every empath who has ever mistaken sensitivity for weakness. To feel everything so intensely is not a flaw, it is evidence of your transformation. The empath perceives not only the words people say, but the silence between them, not only the smiles they wear, but the energy that trembles beneath. This gift, born from suffering, becomes the light that guides you through the darkness. When your emotions rise like storms, do not fear them. They are cleansing rivers, washing away the dust of illusion. The spiritual path often feels like losing yourself because, for the first time, you are meeting who you truly are. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt is part of the sacred unfolding that leads from fragmentation to wholeness. As you move through this process, the world may label you as unstable or lost, but it is only because you are no longer following the collective script. You are writing your own story, one rooted in awareness rather than approval. The old patterns crumble, relationships shift, and the familiar begins to fade. But in that emptiness, a deeper truth emerges. The privilege of a lifetime, Jung reminded us, is to become who you truly are. Sanity, then, is not found in the absence of pain, but in your capacity to hold that pain with wisdom. What you are experiencing is the soul's natural rebellion against falsehood. You are being called to see beyond appearances, to trust the deeper intelligence moving within your suffering. Every wave of emotion is a teacher. Every moment of confusion is a doorway. You are not fragile. You are being purified by truth. From madness to sanity, this is not a collapse. It is a resurrection. The mind may tremble, but the spirit stands taller each day, remembering that true sanity is not found in conformity, but in consciousness. This is the essence of spirituality and the sacred movement of spiritual growth. To awaken, to feel, to see, and to become real again. 6. Dark night before dawn. The darkness you feel right now is not an ending. It is the disguised dawn of your transformation. Everything that once gave you comfort must crumble so that something far greater can be born from within you. Carl Jung, the father of deep psychology and spiritual wisdom, called this the midnight before dawn, the moment when confusion reaches its peak. Pain begins to purify the soul, and rebirth is no longer a distant promise, but an unfolding reality. You are not being punished by life. You are being prepared by it. The chaos surrounding you is not random. It is the dismantling of the false self, the death of old patterns that no longer serve your awakening. The suffering that once felt meaningless is the sacred fire burning away illusion, making room for the truth of who you really are to emerge. There is a point in every journey where the soul is forced to face its own shadow. Jung taught that there is no coming to consciousness without pain, because light only becomes visible against the backdrop of darkness. The empath, the seer, the awakened one is not born in peace, but in pressure. You are being stretched between who you were and who you are becoming, between the comfort of ignorance and the clarity of awareness. This inner tension is divine. It is the signal that something holy is happening within you. Like a seed buried in the soil, you must crack open before you can rise. And though it may feel like your entire world is collapsing, it is only the outer shell of limitation that is breaking apart to reveal the luminous core of your being. Imagine the caterpillar dissolving within its cocoon. It has no idea it's becoming a butterfly. It only knows that its body is dissolving into chaos. The same metamorphosis is happening inside of you. Your old identity, shaped by pain and fear, is dissolving so that your spirit can remember its wings. The dark night is not here to destroy you. It is here to refine you. You are being taught that real spirituality is not about escaping suffering, but transforming it into wisdom. Jung believed that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. To face your inner night without running is the act of ultimate courage. To accept your shadow instead of fighting it is the beginning of freedom. So when everything feels uncertain, when the people and structures that once defined you begin to fall away, trust that you are in the sacred process of becoming. The more you surrender, the more clearly you will see that life was never taking something from you. It was returning you to yourself. Every tear you shed is polishing the mirror of your perception. Every loss is shaping the vision of the empath, the one who sees beyond pain, beyond appearances, beyond fear. This is the alchemy of the soul, the transformation of wounds into wisdom, suffering into sensitivity, despair into divine clarity. The night you are walking through is the birthplace of your light, and when the dawn finally arrives, you will realize it was never outside of you. It was growing quietly within you all along. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights like this. Comment, "Rise again," below if you've walked through your own dark night and found the light within. 7. The 5 revelations as a whole. The 5 revelations: critical suffering, the sacred void, the specific medicine, the return to sanity, and the disguised dawn form the spiritual architecture of awakening, the hidden map that turns the wounded child into the awakened empath. Each revelation is not just a step, but a necessary descent into the inner labyrinth of the soul, where pain transforms into wisdom and darkness becomes light. Your psyche, through divine timing, has chosen this exact moment to reveal them, not to comfort you, but to confront you with truth. The first revelation, critical suffering, is where the illusion shatters. It is the moment life no longer allows you to pretend. Everything false begins to collapse: identities, roles, beliefs, and you find yourself standing naked before your own shadow. This is not punishment. It is initiation. The child within, once ignored, now demands to be heard. What feels like chaos is actually sacred order. What seems like loss is the pruning of all that blocks your light. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain," and this is where that truth becomes real. You are being stripped not to destroy you, but to awaken you. Then arrives the sacred void, the space where everything that once defined you disappears. It feels like nothingness, yet it is everything. It is the divine pause, the silence between death and rebirth. Many fear this phase because it feels like abandonment, but it is actually divine protection. In this stillness, the noise of the ego fades, and your soul begins to whisper. This is where spirituality deepens, where awakening takes root. You begin to sense that the void is not empty. It is full of unseen presence. What once felt like isolation becomes intimacy with the universe itself, a sacred recalibration of your entire being. Out of that stillness emerges the specific medicine, the third revelation that teaches every wound hides a cure. The very pain that once broke you open becomes the wisdom that heals you and others. This is the alchemy of consciousness, where suffering becomes service, You realize that empathy is not a weakness, but a superpower born from your ability to feel deeply and see clearly. The pain was never meant to crush you. It was meant to carve you into a vessel of compassion. The medicine you carry is unique to your scars, and it awakens when you stop running from them. In this recognition, you begin to walk not as a victim of your past, but as a teacher of your own healing. From here, you enter the return to sanity, not as the man you once were, but as someone transformed. Sanity no longer means conforming to the world's madness, but living in alignment with your truth. You stop over-explaining, stop seeking validation, stop reacting to chaos. There's a calm that no storm can touch, a quiet strength born from integration. Jung called this individuation the uniting of the conscious and unconscious self. You become whole, both human and divine, aware of your darkness, but no longer controlled by it. This is spiritual maturity, the awakening of true authority within. And finally comes the disguised dawn, subtle yet profound. After the long night of the soul, light returns, not with noise, but with peace. It's not about being reborn. It's about remembering you were never dead. The dawn hides in plain sight, revealing that the soul was guiding you all along, even in the dark. You no longer chase enlightenment. You live it. The awakening is complete when you realize there is no separation between light and shadow, heaven and earth, you and God. These 5 revelations are not linear. They spiral, each one leading you deeper into truth. And as you live them, you discover that every fall was a sacred descent into the heart of divinity. Every tear, a baptism into consciousness, and every ending, the disguised beginning of your spiritual awakening. 8. Synchronicity as confirmation. When synchronicity begins to unfold in your life, it's not a random coincidence. It's a sacred conversation between your soul and the universe, revealing that your path of spiritual growth has already begun. Carl Jung believed that synchronicity is the psyche's way of confirming that transformation is imminent, especially during moments when life feels uncertain or heavy. When you start noticing patterns, numbers repeating, words you need to hear, or signs that seem to echo your inner emotions, these are not accidents. They are reflections of your unconscious mind aligning with the external world. In spirituality, synchronicity is not just a sign. It's proof that your inner work is manifesting into the outer reality. It whispers, you are in harmony with something larger than yourself. You may feel like you're losing control, but in truth, you're gaining clarity. The old layers of your identity are dissolving so that your authentic self can emerge. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. These meaningful coincidences are your invitation to awaken from old patterns and to begin living with greater awareness and purpose. As you move through moments of confusion, remember that transformation often disguises itself as chaos. The darkness you walk through is not punishment. It's preparation. Just as dawn forms while the night still lingers, your new self is already taking shape, even when you can't see it clearly. Every challenge you face now is guiding you toward a higher level of consciousness. Synchronicity is the universe's gentle nod, telling you to trust the process, to stay open, and to allow your inner wisdom to guide you. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. The pain you feel is the cracking of your old shell, making room for the expansion of your spirit. This is spirituality in motion, the quiet but powerful unfolding of your true essence. So when you see the signs, those small yet undeniable alignments, pause and acknowledge them as messages of affirmation. They are confirmations that you are exactly where you need to be, that your soul is orchestrating something beyond logic. Trust that your awakening is not an accident. Every step, every delay, every unexpected turn is divinely timed. Stay with the process. Keep your heart steady in faith. The universe has already confirmed your readiness for transformation. What looks like an ending is merely a sacred beginning. The dawn of your deeper awareness, your spiritual rebirth, and the moment your light begins to rise. Every empath's journey begins with pain, but it does not end there. What once broke you was never meant to destroy you. It was preparing you to see beyond illusion and to love with greater depth. The scapegoat becomes the seer, not by escaping the darkness, but by walking through it with open eyes and an open heart. So as you move through your own life, remember, every wound you heal within yourself becomes a light for someone still lost in theirs. Let your past shape compassion, not bitterness. Let your pain refine your wisdom, not harden your heart. If this message spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments below. How has your pain become your teacher? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our spiritual wisdom community, where we turn wounds into wisdom and silence into light.